What is up, boys? We're back with another video. Honestly, I don't even. Today we'll kind of touch on how prep went, how it ended up ending, and why I kind of disappeared for a couple months there. Kind of touch on all those things. Honestly, I'll explain it when we get in the gym, but your boy was just in the mental trenches, and I'll go into detail for that. The last 4 to 5 weeks of prep were just rough. So a lot's happened in the past couple weeks. But with that being said, I'll catch you boys in the gym. All right, boys, we're back with another video. As I said in the car, it's been a long time coming. Missed you boys. It's been about a month and a half. And honestly, the last 5 weeks of prep, man, those were some weeks, boys. Those were some weeks. And honestly, a lot happened the back half 5 weeks of prep. With that being said, let me start. We ended up competing. We did do open bodybuilding. We didn't make it to classic, and that's because there was a lot that happened those last 5 weeks that led to us not making the weight cap. And that's, hey, it happens, I'll kind of let you guys know what happened those last 5 weeks. But we did do open bodybuilding. We ended up doing open heavyweight bodybuilding. Took first in the class, boys. First in the class. Felt good about it. If you're on TikTok or Instagram, you kind of saw some of the pictures. I posted on both of those. I'll drop a picture from that weekend for you boys, just so you guys can kind of see it. But we did end up taking a class. We didn't end up taking the overall though, because a 6'6" stud, 265 lean mogged your boy off stage. We ended up doing the pose down. I felt like he looked really good. I'm not mad I didn't take it. When I looked at him, I was like, bro had 45 pounds on me. Understandably, he's going to look better than me. But I'm kind of just happy we made it back to the stage, bro. It's been a long time. It's been a long time since we competed. And I'm just kind of happy we made it back there. It was a long time coming, and I'm blessed to even be back there. It's a blessing just to be able to step on stage. And that was one of the things where when I stepped on that stage, man, like there was so many doubts, so much going in my mind through this prep. So many things, so many thoughts that I was like, oh, dude, maybe I'm not really built for this anymore. I competed when I was 20. I'm 27 now. I'm an old geezer. You know what I mean? But I'm 27 now, and the last time I competed was when I was 20. I've gone through multiple preps since then, but they've all been failed preps, whether it's been due to sickness or just I'm having something going wrong internally to where I had to come out of prep, or I had external factors kind of play into it, like car accidents, just various reasons, right? I've had, I want to say since my first time stepping on stage, I've had 4 or 5 failed preps to where I get to about the 8 to 6 week range. And then for one reason or another, I end up having to come out just because something happens to where I'm like, I can't afford to keep going on prep, or I got really sick, or I'm having internal problems and I just need to stop. And that's been a big thing for me these past couple of years, man. It's just been like, can I make it back to the stage? Am I able to make it back at stage? Am I truly a bodybuilder, or am I just a bodybuilder by name? And that's kind of been an internal battle I've had. I've lived the life. I train the way I train. I eat how I eat. I live the bodybuilding life, but I don't step on stage. So for the past couple of years, it's just been kind of an internal battle. Like, if I don't step on stage, am I really a bodybuilder? Or am I just saying I'm a bodybuilder? So that was one of the things where this prep, I was like, no matter what happens, we will step on stage. It might not be in classic like we planned on, but nonetheless, we made it to that stage. We ended up winning our class, and that felt great. Felt the best way to describe it is the first prep, when I stepped on stage, I was super nervous. Nervous the whole time, but fell in love with sport, fell in love with the art form, fell in love with the whole aspect of bodybuilding. Full sent that lifestyle then, right? I was super nervous then though, but nonetheless, it was amazing. It was an experience and I enjoyed it. This second time around, I kind of have jitters. It was like, whenever you're excited to do something, there's nerves that come with it, but it wasn't necessarily I was nervous. Like once I hit that stage, once we got to those comparisons, once I did that individual routine, and then they announced that I won the class, and we ended up doing the pose down and all that, it was like, dude, my soul felt at peace. Like the most it's felt at peace in years. I was like, I felt the most comfortable in my skin that I felt in years. It was like all those doubts, all those concerns to where it's like, oh, I'm really not a bodybuilder because I don't want to step on stage, to where we made it back to the stage. We made it there. And I felt at home. It was like a weight being lifted off my shoulders, boys. It was one of those things where I was just like, I actually do this. This is actually like, I fell in love with it all over again. And that was kind of a blessing. It was very trying the last 5 weeks. There was a lot of mental adversity, a lot of physical adversity that me and my coach kind of had to go through those last 5 weeks. But nonetheless, we made it to the stage. And that was a blessing. That was a blessing. But we got a little bit of arms on the agenda today, boys. We're going to start with some biceps. After we start with some biceps, we can go ahead and move to the triceps. As you can tell, I'm not as super lean, mogging in the face as I was when I was recording content. Or if you've seen the posts on Instagram or TikTok, I'm not super dried out, death face, cheeks sunk in anymore, right? I got a little bit of fluff, but that's because my body's holding on a little bit of food, a little bit of water. We upped the calories a little bit. We ended prep at a low of 1,400 calories for the last 3 weeks with about an hour of 40 minutes of cardio daily. 1,400 calories in an hour of 40 minutes of cardio daily. That was rough. That was, boys, that was the mental trenches. I'll kind of dive a little bit deeper into that, but let's hit this first set. Start with some inner curls. Once we do these inner curls, we'll switch over. I'll get the W bar. We'll do some brachialis work. That's just kind of my main focus this off season, which we are no longer in prep, boys. I know I was talking about maybe pushing it till July, depending on the first show win. But after talking to my coach, it was one of those things where I was just like, I stepped on stage and I was like, realistically, I looked the best I've ever looked, but I don't think this is the best we could have looked. And how my body's been fighting us the past 4 or 5 weeks, I don't think we're going to bring the best to the stage in July that we could. My body was really just fighting back. My body was pretty much just like, hey, we're done pushing. We're done digging. Like, we've been hardcore dieting. We've been dieting for 23 weeks. The past 14 weeks, we've been below 1,800 calories. 9 weeks, the following 9 weeks, the back half 9 weeks, we were only at 16. And then, like I said, the last 3 weeks, we're at 1,400 calories. For a grand scheme, it was like 14 weeks of being under 2,000 calories. We're at 1,800 calories. And it's not like I'm a small guy. I'm a big boy. We started prep at 240. We ended up stepping on stage. I wouldn't say as peeled as we could have been or as peeled as we were at the 5-week mark. But nonetheless, like, we stepped on stage. I stepped on the scale, weighed in at 2, I want to say 18. And obviously later in that day, as the meals kind of digested, progressed a little bit. Night weight, I want to say I weighed in, I want to say 216. And then I want to say we stepped on stage after refeeding, carbing up, trying to fill out at around 221, 222. And I felt pretty good. I feel like we looked pretty lean. And grand scheme of things, at our driest, at our leanest, and you boys have seen, obviously, through the videos I've posted, we got pretty dry. We got pretty lean. The lowest we hit a prep low of 213, and that was the back half. When we were super dry, super lean, and I was still posting content back in April, kind of beginning of May, I was still posting content. We were at like 215, 216. So we were dry, grainy, getting down there, 215, 216, and the weight cap is 202. So that'll kind of be something I'll touch on as the week progresses, kind of let you guys know what the game plan is, how we're looking at it the next year. Oh, grand scheme of things, I pretty much talked to my coach and was just like, I think it would be more optimal for us to come out of prep, kind of use this off season, this maybe year, to recomp my body, try to make sure I'm insulin sensitive, trying to make sure that my metabolism is kicking at a higher pace, just so we can come into prep a lot leaner, come in at 230 instead of 240, because you got to think about it. We hit a prep low of 213. That's 27 pounds, right? We come in At 230, that's 203. That's 203, 202, right? We pull water. I probably hit the stage at 199, 198. We make light, heavyweight, and classic. So that's kind of one of the things I was looking at, and just kind of when you look back at prep, there's a lot of things that you wish you could have done. After prep, you're like, oh, if I would have did this, if I would have took my off season a little bit more serious, maybe it would have set us up for a better spot. Maybe we wouldn't have ran into what we ran into. But it's one of those things where you can't sit back and dwell on that. There's a lot of I woulda, shoulda, coulda. And I'm happy with the package we brought to the stage. Like I said, it's the best I've ever looked to this date, the leanest, the biggest. And we took the class. You know, it was good enough to win our class in open bodybuilding, open heavyweight bodybuilding. So I feel good about that. But let's go ahead and hit a set, boys. But like I said, we didn't end up taking the class. That was cool. Talked to my coach. We decided we're shooting for, I wanted to say next November. There's a show in Texas. I kind of want to shoot for that one. If we're feeling good, if we're feeling green, depending where I'm sitting at financially, at the beginning of next year, right around February, March-ish, I'll kind of touch base with my coach again and be like, hey, should we go for Vegas? Run it back in July? That was the initial show. Should we run it for that? Or should we wait, try to recomp my body a little bit, maybe work on a little bit more areas that we could work on, bring up some areas that we want to bring up, which I think the main focus, the main targets during this off season are going to be making sure my hamstrings are coming in obviously fuller, try to add a little bit of size to those, work on the glutes. So I am incorporating cardio year round. I think right now I'm doing 45 minutes of stairs daily. By the end, in about another 2 to 3 weeks, when my body's reaccustomed, there we go. I can't say that other A word. When my body's reaccustomed to kind of intaking carbohydrates, being a little bit higher calorie wise, my body will readjust, the hormones will balance back out. Once everything's kind of in play like that, then I'll probably only do 2 hours of cardio a week, and that'll be about 20 minutes per day, right? I think that'll be a good spot, and I'm keeping the cardio stairs year round. The focus with that is I really, during the off season, want to make sure while I'm doing stairs to squeeze my glutes to try to get those glute striations to come in a little bit better. That was one of the things that we kind of ran into problems with during this prep is, and it could be because I was in a constant state of inflammation just because we were doing so much cardio, but I just might have not been lean enough, but the glutes didn't come in the way we wanted them to. There were certain times where they came in to where, okay, I took a day or two off of cardio. My coach had me take a day or two off of cardio, and then the glutes would kind of pop out a little bit. And then right before we stepped on stage, they were showing a little bit, but I would like them to be a lot more striated. So I think during this off season, I'm going to keep stairs in year round. When I'm doing my glutes, when I'm doing my hamstring work, I'll incorporate a lot more glute work. So if you know some glute work or have some good butt movements, I'm talking good butt stuff, boys, or whoever, go ahead and slide in my way, because all I really know for glute movements is like glute kickbacks, like the glute kickback machines, the ankle strap for the glute kick, kind of kickbacks there, and then hip thrusts. So if you have other like glute and hamstring movements that you're like, this gets my cheeks fucking peeled, slide it your boy's way, because I would love to use that. That's kind of one of the main focuses during this offseason, is trying to make sure my glutes come in. Focusing on my glutes, trying to make sure I can get those as peeled as possible. So when we do go get that pro card, when we do pursue that pro card, the cheeks are nice and peeled, nice and grainy, nice and striated. So that's the kind of the focus. Just because from the front, it was peeled. We were peeled. Like the gills were coming in. The front half abs were starting to come in really well. Quads were feathering. It was nice. But from the back half, like my back looked nice. I was very happy with how my back looked. It was just, and even the hamstrings started to pop out. Those back half of prep started to come out. But the glutes just weren't striating the way I would like them to. I wanted to get those feathers across the board. So that's kind of one of the things that I think I'm really going to focus on this offseason, is just making sure, hey, when we're doing our cardio, when we're doing our stairs, squeeze those glutes. really try to focus on getting those striations, muscle fibers to deepen. And then when I'm doing my hamstring movement days or my hamstring dominant days, kind of focus a little bit more on the glutes. You know, I feel like that's something I kind of eased off of, not paying too much attention to butt stuff. And I need to get back into it. Really focus on that, you know. But that's kind of the idea for the off season is glutes, hamstrings, and then I want to add a little bit more mass to my arms just to complement the legs and then the lats. I feel like the lat to leg ratio is really nice. I feel like that's a good portion. I feel like my waist, when we really get dialed in, when we really get lean, snatches in the way I would like it to. We just need to bring the arms up a little bit. And I feel like from the front, the arms look good. It's just the back double is where I could use a little bit of work. And that's just pretty much brachialis work. So I think during this off season, I'm just going to focus, structure my arm days more around brachialis work to make sure I can get that meat to pop out from the back. So when I'm hitting that back double, it really shows. Really get that nice arc, really get that meat to come out from the back. And I think if I can get those three things to really come in, we will have an overall good package and be set up for a good spot for when we do become pro. So that's kind of the off-season agenda. Keeping cardio inconsistent, stairs, and then on top of that, just focus on those three spots that I kind of want to bring up. You know, feel like my chest's good, my delts pop out really well. My lats, I feel like my lats and back kind of become a strong point over the years. And for my stage shots, I definitely think it's a strong point from the back now. And then my legs I have good legs. It's just a couple spots, a couple things, and I think we'll have a good package and feel comfortable and confident to be able to go and take it to that next level. But it's in the set here, boys. Oh, and then I'll kind of touch on why I stopped kind of filming the back half of prep, the last 5 weeks of prep. But let's get it. But the last 5 weeks of prep, I want to say the last video I dropped was in April or early May, right? And that, like the last couple videos I dropped, I was looking back and I was like, oh, okay, like we were just feeling rough. But right around that, right after that last video, I got sick. And I was like filming content and the content wasn't good. Like I was forgetting to do intros or outros, or it was just bad videos. And I was like, I really don't want to post this. This is kind of garbage. But on top of that, I was just mentally and physically feeling like I was dying. Like it was the worst I've felt all prep. And I was just like, oh, it's because we're just digging, right? At that time, we were at 1,600 calories, doing an hour and a half of cardio a day. I was like, this is prep. This is the last 5 weeks of prep. I just need to lock in, right? I just need to be a mental fortress. I need to not be a mental picket fence. You know what I mean? So I was just like, all right, dude, I'm just being a big old pussy about this. Like, I just need to lock in, get it done, grind it out. This is the sport we love. This is what we signed up for. This adversity is what we love and what we wanted, right? So why am I kind of complaining about it now? Come to find out, the end of that week, nope, I actually just had the flu. I felt like death and felt like I was dying because my body was actually just like, hey, pimp, we're actually shutting down. We're actually shutting down on you. So you're going to have to kind of give us some medicine or help us a little bit, which is understandable just because, I mean, we were 4 weeks into the 1,600 calories, doing about an hour and a half, hour, 40 minutes of cardio a day. My immune system at that point was tanked. It was tanked. And I could tell it was tanked just by how it was feeling. Like my body, I was just like, oh, dude, if I get sick, like, and I kind of jinxed myself because I was like, if I get sick, dude, it's a rough spot for me. And I got the flu, and it was a bad flu. I had a week-long flu, and that was rough. That was rough. Hit another set, and then kind of touch on that a little bit more, boys. But it was a week-long flu, and that was kind of tough. I was like, at the end of the week, I was like, hey, just kind of talked to my coach. I checked in, and then my coach was like, "How are you feeling?" I was like, "I feel like I'm actually dying." He was like, "Ah, that's prep." I was like, "Ah, I know." And then the next day, I was like, "No, I actually feel like I'm dying. I think I have a really bad flu. I'm like, it's rough. It's rough." So we kind of like, we gave me some medicine, increased my calories a little bit for a day, day and a half, just to kind of make sure my body was okay. And like in the check-in, he was kind of like, I noticed I was holding water. I was like, oh God, I'm holding water. It was one of those check-ins where you look at your phone and you're just like, fuck, I really don't want to send this to my coach. Like I'm doing everything that on plan. I'm doing everything that I should be doing. But these pictures, these pictures aren't doing it justice. These pictures look like I'm gonna get an extra half an hour of cardio and we're dropping the calories by another 100. That's what these pictures are looking like right now. I was like, fuck. So I like sent them to him. Like I said, he was just kind of like, "How are you feeling?" I was like, "I feel like death." He was like, "That's prep." I was like, "Ah, you're right. It is prep." Then we kind of touched base the next day. I was like, "I feel actually like garbage." Then he was like, "Oh, you might actually be sick." And I was like, "Yeah, I definitely think I'm sick." We kind of talked about it. We readjusted for a couple days. And then, dude, it was just after that, like mentally and physically, my body was fighting. Like mentally and physically, my body was like, all right, buddy, for the past 5 weeks, we've been in the darkest place that we could go in our mind. There's a second level to that shit. I'm just like, there's a second level. I thought we were at the worst spot we could get, the darkest abysses of our mind right now. My my body was like, hey, brother, we're digging. And there's a level 2 to this dig site. I'm like, oh God. I get down there mentally and physically, dude, in the trenches, fighting my internal demons on a day-to-day basis. And let me tell you, boys, they were whooping my ass, beating the absolute dog piss out of me. It was rough. It was rough. It was not fun. The last 5 weeks of prep were actually mentally, it takes you, dude, it took me to a place I haven't been in so long. But I appreciate, like, I'm saying it's tough, which it is very tough, but I appreciate it, right? This suffering is something I chose for myself. This hell is something I chose for myself. What I went through, I'm happy I went through it because I'm better mentally and physically. And we're holding a little bit of water. I wouldn't say physically, at least yet. We're better mentally than we've been in a long time. So that's kind of been very nice. So before I keep going about how hard the last 5 weeks of prep were leading into the show, I want you guys to know that I am appreciative that I even had the opportunity to go through it. Right. And I do miss it. I miss it. Like I had post-show depression, which is a thing. Like after the show, you kind of feel lost. Kind of feel like, all right, what do I do now? I'm so used to training twice a day, 2 hours of cardio, just working out, and at that time making content, or at that time not making content, just working out. That I was like, after prep, I was just like, what, what goes on? And that's why I haven't made like videos 2 weeks post prep. This is 2 weeks post prep right now, boys, post show. But oh, dude, prep was just those last 5 weeks just took me to a place mentally I haven't been in so long. Like since my first show. And even then, my first show, it wasn't as hard as it was this show. But I like hot take. I feel like each prep should be harder than the last. Because if you truly are coming in bigger, if you truly want to come in leaner or just better than you were previously, the prep should be harder. It should be harder because you're taking it that much further, right? So each prep, if you want the next prep to be like, man, this is the best I've ever looked, and obviously keep thinking that with each prep, as each prep goes on, as each time you step on stage, it should be, this is the best I've ever looked. And then the next time will be the best I've ever looked. And that should just keep you going to know, hey, I'm going to step on stage, and next time I step on stage, it'll even be better than this time. But with that also comes, okay, the next prep's going to be hard because I'm going to have that much more max, because I want to come in that much more leaner. It's going to be a lot harder to where, yeah, you might be able to do things during the off season and make it not horrible, but it's going to be just as bad, if not worse, than the previous prep. Hot take. I think each prep should be harder than the previous. That's just my opinion. My opinion, boys. But yeah, prep kind of that second level, bro, is hand to hand combat with my mental demons on the daily. And you would think these motherfuckers were trained by Batman himself. You would think they were my barber for the last 5 weeks, the way they were fading your boy up. It was rough. It was rough, dude. Like, I listened to it was so bad. Me and my boy are going to a Stain concert. And let me set the groundwork for that. The reason why we're going to a Stain concert is because the last 5 weeks, all I listened to was divorced dad rock. And by divorced dad rock, I mean Seether, Creed, Stain, stuff like that, right? Divorced dad rock. I was listening to it so much, it was just like, dude, the last 5 weeks, I probably listened to at least 40 hours between those three bands alone. It was just like I was listening to them so much, you would think I was a dad going through a bad divorce and a custody battle in '05. It was wild, wild. But towards the end of prep, I was like, bro, they're coming to Michigan. We gotta go. Little they know, they carried my soul the last 5 weeks of prep. Which, hey, I appreciate them for that. But I was like, I gotta see these guys live now. I gotta see these guys live. It would be like, let me paint the picture for you boys. It's been a long day. We're surviving off 1,400 calories. Last 3 weeks, 1,400 calories. We know we have an hour of cardio. Oh, dude, we have an hour of cardio left. We're probably going to do the stairs because that's where we sweat the most. And we have to train. I know whatever I play is going to be on repeat for the next hour. Instantly go to Stain right here. Hold on. I had like 4 songs I listened to on loop. I'm about to, I'm about to pull them up right now. The 4 songs I listened to by Stain on repeat for the last 3 weeks were right here, Warm, Safe Place, and For You. Brother, it was, oh, let me paint that picture for you. You hit the stairs. You started. You're stepping, right? Warm, Safe Place starts playing. Just going. Just going. Death Face in. And that's just on loop. Those 3 songs are just on loop for 45 minutes. Oh, bro, it was the trenches. It was the trenches. But I can laugh about it now because I'm glad I went through that, to where I put myself through the hardest thing I will go through this year. And then, like, now it's kind of like whatever happens moving forward, I'm like, at least it's not prep. It's not going to be as bad as that was. So that kind of sets the foundation. No matter how bad things get, I know I'll be able to work through it. No matter what scenario, no matter what situation I'm in, I survived prep, and therefore I will be able to survive whatever adversity I am now facing. So that's kind of one of the outcomes, one of the benefits you get from going to the mental abyss, the darkest places of your mind and prep is, okay, this is the worst I'm going to feel physically and mentally. Anything else moving forward will never be as tough as what I'm going through right now. That's one of the bennies you get from bodybuilding, especially a hard fought prep. So that's one of the kind of great things that came from that dark abyss. That was the last 5 weeks of prep. It was rough for your boy. Your boy was in mental, a dark place. It was a dark place. But I'm going to go ahead and grab a different handle. I'll be right back, boys. All right, boys. Now we're going to do a little bit of reverse curls, get a little bit of brachialis work going here. But with all that being said, with knowing that I was at the darkest place that I've been in a long time mentally, I miss it. I miss it. I miss it because it came with so much structure. The structure that is prep is like, it's hard to explain, right? It's just something about going through such long-term adversity. It's not even long-term, through a scheduled adversity, knowing that you're choosing that hell for yourself and it's going to lead to a long-term goal, right? Which that long-term goal is stepping on stage, being better each time that you step on stage than you were previously. So it's kind of one of those things where like now I've been out of prep for the past 2 weeks and we've been reverse dieting and I'm like, okay, the next time we step on stage is next year. And I'm like, dude, I want to step on stage again, like in another 8 weeks. Like, let's hop back in prep. But I'm gonna hit this and then we'll talk a little bit more, boys. But I kind of miss it, you know? It's one of those things where it's like it was just grinding for a goal. And then once you achieve that goal, it's like being backstage, like bodybuilding is something that like backstage, it's some of the coolest, nicest people you meet. And you're kind of when you're in prep, you're going through it alone, right? Even if you have a significant other and they could be the most supportive significant other in the world, helping you cook meals, motivating you to keep going to the gym, motivating you to do your cardio, unless they are also going through the prep, you're going through prep alone. And what I mean by that is you're the one that's going to feel the hunger. You're the one that's got to do the hour, 2 hours, maybe even 3 hours of cardio. You're the one that's got to be in that steep deficit and find the urge or find the mental will strength to be able to train and train hard and train with purpose, right? Your partner's not going through that unless they're going through prep with you and you guys are doing the show together. But even then, like, they only understand it to an extent because they might not be doing as much cardio as you. They might not be in as steep of a deficit as you, to where you're really only going through it alone. But when you're backstage with all those other people, it's kind of like any animosity, like, yeah, you're competing against one another, but it's like these are the only people that truly know what you've gone through for the past 12, 16, 20, 24 weeks. In my case, past 24 weeks, these are the only people that really understand the mental trenches that you've been in because they've been in those trenches as well. Especially if they came in with their best package, they have been going through the same adversity, having to deal with it just as much as you have. And there's almost like an appreciation that comes with that, right? It's like, oh, yeah, I'm stepping on stage next to you. Yeah, I'm supposed to compete against you and I'm trying to beat you, but nonetheless, you're my brother in arms. We're going through this kind of together. Let's just enjoy this moment. We made it here, right? You made it through the trying times. I made it through the trying times. And then you just kind of like, you make friends. Like some of the coolest dudes I like met were dudes I stepped on stage with. That was like, oh, I got to compete against this guy. This guy's in my class. Okay. And then I'm like, oh, this guy's super cool. And like you end up chopping it up. And now I have a bunch of buddies that I follow on Instagram that I talk to. I'm like, oh yeah, super cool guys, you know? And that's kind of one of the things where it's like, oh yeah, you're like, you are my competition, but nonetheless, you understand the hell I've been in for the past 20 weeks because you've been in that exact same hell, or at least a similar hell. So it comes with like, if you're a hostile individual, it's an environment where you really can't be hostile. It's just good vibes back there. So that's another reason why I tell a lot of my boys to compete. I'm like, the people you meet when you compete, they're like some of the coolest people ever, you know? Which is a win, you know? I'm not, very rarely, I'm not going to say I've not or haven't heard of individuals having a bad experience being backstage, but very rarely will you go backstage and the people you meet backstage are going to be dickheads, right? For the most part, they're very down to earth, good people, and just cool to talk to, you know? Very nice individuals, chopping it up, very cool. Hey, can I use your bands? Yeah, brother. And then you use your bands. You're like, oh, will you hold this for me while I pump up my back? Yeah, I got you. And you just kind of, it's chill. It's chill, you know? So that's kind of like another benefit that comes with prep is like you meet a bunch of cool individuals, a bunch of down to earth guys and girls, you know, people that are just, hey, I've been in the same trenches you've been in. Let's just chop it up. Like all the dudes I met backstage or all the people I met backstage, I was like, these are people I could after this, which we're bodybuilders, we probably won't go out and have a beer. But these are all guys that I was like, back in my drinking days, I'd have been like, I would have loved to just hang out with these people and have a beer. These are cool people. So that's one of the nice things about competing is when you do get backstage, when you do step on that stage, it's just positive vibes, dude. Everybody's just hyping everybody up. Everybody's like, dude, you look great. It's like, oh, you look amazing, this, that, and another. You're just gassing each other up, making each other feel really good. Everybody's in the best shape they've ever been in. Just very positive, optimistic. Trying to think of the right word. It's just positive vibes. It's just positive vibes. So I'd recommend doing it, you know? Now, there's gonna be people that will be like, my experience wasn't like that. Yeah, there are gonna be people that aren't necessarily the nicest backstage, but for the most part, the shows that I've come across, the people that I've come across that compete, very nice, very cool individuals, right? And it's just a good environment. I'm happy I'm a part of that community. It's a community that I'm like, this is a vibe, you know? This is a cool community. And if you were to tell me, hey, there's no dickheads in this community, I'd be like, you're either A, lying, or B, just oblivious to it. I mean, if you have a good community, there are going to be individuals that just kind of make it bad. You know, there are going to be a couple rotten eggs along the way, but for the most part, it's really cool guys. And that's hold on, let's hit this set, boys. Kind of one of the things where I was like, like with Classic Physique, there wasn't any rivalries like with Kai or Phil, or there weren't any like Ronnies and Jays. You know, in Classic, everybody's just kind of buddy buddy. And I was like, what? Dude, like, if you're going for an O title, like, I would think it'd be a lot more hostile just because you guys this is your career, this is your job. This is whether you get paid or not. I assumed you would be a little bit more, nitty gritty about it. But kind of being backstage again, being in that environment, going through a full prep, I was kind of like, yeah, you kind of just, you have a certain level of respect, a certain level of appreciation for the man standing or woman standing next to you because that person has gone through hell in the same way you have, you know? It's your brother or sister in arms. So I can kind of understand why you go like those people on the O stage would be like, yeah, this guy's super cool. Or I'll go work out with this guy. Because nobody truly understands what they're going through other than the people standing next to them that are also going through it. So it's kind of, I'm like, okay, I get it. I understand it now. I understand why there aren't like a Phil and Kai anymore, really any like in your face bodybuilding like there used to be. It's because everybody's just like, dude, we're all going through it. And it's just a bunch of positive vibes back there, which is very cool. It's very enjoyable. So kind of understand it now after going through a full prep again, which has been, like I said, it was mentally trying, dude. The last 5 weeks were just tough. And that's why I didn't film. It was just like, dude, I was in the trenches mentally. I just couldn't get in front of the camera, dude. It was so tough. So tough. But I'm glad I went through it. I'm grateful for it, you know. But we're back. We're back filming content. But yeah, that's kind of how prep went. And now we're out of it. Kind of getting into the off season, trying to get my hormones to balance back out, trying to get my body reaccustomed to food again. Because I was at 1,400 calories, and then right after prep, bumped my calories up to just under 2,000. I'm at 250 grams of protein, 150 grams of carbs, and 50 grams, about 40 to 50 grams of fat. So it's just under 2,000 calories. But my body's kind of like, brother,
glucose, store it. We haven't had over 100 calories, I'm not calories, 100 carbs on a regular in months. Store it, store it all, round it up, and let's package that up. We're going to go ahead and conserve that because we don't know if he's going to keep pumping it in us or not. So my body's kind of in a scarcity mindset. And as my hormones balance back out, as I kind of continue to give my body a steady pace and consistent amount of calories and reacclimate carbohydrates back into my diet, my body would then kind of level out and be like, okay, try to switch it from that scarcity mindset more into an abundance mindset to where it's like, we don't have to store all of these carbs that we're getting. We'll go ahead and utilize it. But the pumps, boys, have been immaculate. I can't wait to film. Like, I was doing upper chest and front delts last week, and I was throwing 275 for sets of 12. It was easy. I was like, oh my gosh, 315 for sets of 5 to 8 is going to be money. So the pumps have been nuts. The weight's been waiting. I kind of had to ease off the throttle a little bit because I was like, I don't want to go too crazy and injure myself, right? 2 weeks after prep. I'm like, okay, we'll kind of ease back into going heavy, ease back into really pushing the throttle. But I'm very excited to kind of see how this structured off season will go. But I'm going to go ahead and grab the next handle. Then we'll get to that work, boys. That lie, boys. We're going to do some seated hammers. Get after this work, though. But I do feel like this offseason is going to go a lot better than last offseason went. And that's just because we made it through a full prep, you know? I fell back in love with my first love. You know, I got that spark. That spark's back. So that's very exciting. And I kind of want to document this whole process. I think what I'm going to do for next prep and what I wish I would have did for this prep is instead of just going ghost for the last 5 weeks, I think I'll just do for the next prep leading up to the pro, trying to get the pro card. I'll just do daily updates of how I'm feeling, how prep's going, and maybe stray away the last month from following the actual list and just giving you guys daily physiques and just kind of mental updates. What I'm doing mentally, how I'm looking. I think that'll be kind of how I structure it next time instead of just going ghost, you know, because I wish I would have documented it, but I was just like, I just didn't have the mental bandwidth to get in front of the camera, at least in the gym. I could have at least filmed and been like, hey, this is how I feel, boys. These are how we're looking, kind of leading into the show. This is how we're feeling. And then obviously just kind of easing into that, you know. I also want to get more content of the actual show. This one, I didn't get as much content. I just got pictures that I've collected from like other people that stepped on stage or that I got from like family and friends. I think next prep, I'm going to have one of my boys or my little sister, because she's like one of my biggest supporters, shout out to her, kind of film and record the whole day, right? Just kind of follow me around as I'm getting my meals in, as I'm going through my day-to-day activities in that prep, leading into that show, kind of just record the whole thing. But you live and you learn. And now these are kind of things to set it up for the next show. And you guys get a full off season now. Instead of me just moving lightweight, you guys actually get to see how much your boy can put up. You get to see the heavy squats, the heavy benches, what I actually can move when I have food behind me. So that'll be cool to document. I didn't film at all during my last off season. So I think it'll be very cool filming this off season. You know, letting you guys see, hey, your boy actually doesn't just look the part. I move weight too. I move some heavy weight. So, well, I wouldn't say super heavy weight. I think squat wise, we'll probably get back up to like 500 pounds for like 3 sets of 5 to 8. Bench, incline, we're in a 275 was feeling super light on incline. So I think for seated shoulder press and incline, at least for seated incline, there we go. We'll move back to 315, move that. 3 wheels is going to feel really good. And then I think for our other movements, the weight will increase as well. But it'll be kind of cool to see making the small adjustments to my physique over the next year as we lead into that next show. So I think that'll be cool, kind of documenting the whole process. And after my show, I kind of got emotional because I was like, dude, I want to step on stage in July. Like in my mind, I was like, dude, I want to keep pushing it. I want to keep pushing it. But I knew it wasn't going to be the best package, right? It wasn't going to be the best look that we could have brought to that stage. And after stepping on that stage, you know, after competing at this show that I first competed at, I was like, dude, and when I won my class and then getting to do the pose down, I was like, I don't want to just take second or first, or I don't want to just get my pro card, right? I want to take the overall for that show. You know, that's the goal. It isn't just becoming pro, it's taking overall, right? I want to win that pose down. I want to be the winner of the winners, you know? So I think this year I'm just really going to make sure I'm set up to achieve that goal. Really kind of put everything in play to make sure that's an achievable outcome and set us up for the best spot to start prep, you know? So kind of how the next year's going to play out. I'm excited to document it all. And then I also have a couple ideas, things I want to do for content for you boys. I think obviously it's summertime, I'm going to enjoy the summer. So when I do my side quests, you know, doing my nerdy shit, or, you know, go to Cedar Point, or if I go to a carnival, it'll be like the normal gym content. Then I'll do like an extended video and it'll be like bodybuilder takes on like fucking elephant ears, which would be cool, you know? So a little switch up off the gym content every once in a while. But yeah, honestly, I've missed making content. I was kind of nervous, and be honest with you boys, try to be as transparent as possible. I was kind of nervous leading into it, you know, because I haven't made content for 6 or 7 weeks now. I haven't made content for like 6 or 7 weeks now, so I was just like, you know, it's kind of like it was kind of like getting back into stepping on stage. It was like, oh, am I gonna feel comfortable behind the camera? Am I gonna be stuttering a lot? Am I gonna be weird? You know, but I feel like this is pretty good. It's feeling good, feeling comfortable, just like was when I stepped on stage, you know. Just kind of felt normal. And that was one of the things where I was like, it kind of solidified everything in my mind. I was just like, okay, not only can we step back on stage, not only can we make it through a prep, but this is like what I should be doing. This is what I should have been doing. You know, I should have been here. Why did it take me so long to make it back here? Because I was so hung up on classic for so long. It was classic or nothing. I should have just stepped on stage and stepped on stage, whether it was in classic or open bodybuilding. I love the sport. So the goal for next year, goal is classic, which I think is a very attainable goal as long as I keep everything in order moving forward, leading into this off season. So, which this off season, like I said, I'm not going to go through like a full bulk. It'll pretty much just be a maintenance to where I'll try to add a little bit of mass to specific areas, focus on trying to bring up certain areas a little bit. But for the most part, it's just making sure, hey, we stay lean during the off season, set us up for a good spot. Start prep at 225 to 230 instead of 240, so we can make that weight cap. And then once we make that weight cap, bring our best look to the date to stage. And then from there, getting the pro card and then really leaning into the off season, really going through a nice bulk. just because I haven't been able to go through a bulk, an actual bulk, in years. And that's just because I ride so high above the weight cap normally. It's kind of tough to do bulks just because I don't want to get too heavy and then not be able to make the classic weight cap. Like I said, my weight cap's 202 and we started prep at 240. And I stepped on stage, weighed in, like was really lean at 215. Like dry, cramping lean. So it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, okay, I really can't afford to add on too much mass. Because if I add on too much mass, we're going to have to downsize and then take some mass off. So it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, okay, let's not focus on adding mass as a whole. Let's just focus on tweaking a couple spots, get that pro card. Once we get that pro card, now we have 10 more pounds to play with. Then we can go through an actual bulk and really add that mass that we would like to, which is a win. So kind of the thought process, kind of the agenda for the next year. You know, kind of, I've been giving you guys a lot of what the next year is going to look like, how prep's gone, but I felt like I had to catch you guys up on how the past 6 to 7 weeks have been going, you know, kind of catch you guys up on why I stopped creating content when I did, stop giving the updates I was given, you know. So we're back at it. Going to be dropping consistent videos again and really just kind of focusing on documenting the process. The road to pro starts now, all right? The road to pro starts a year and a half in advance. Everything I do moving forward will kind of set up or set the foundation for how next year will go. So got to be very adamant, very structured, make sure we're doing everything right, at least putting ourselves in the best spot possible. Yeah. But boys, I miss prep. I miss prep. I miss the misery that comes with prep. I miss the adversity. There's something about just going through daily trials and overcoming them, you know, in that mental battle every day and winning the battle. It's just kind of a peace that comes with that, kind of a sense of pride that comes with that, a sense of confidence that you get that following day. It's like, hey, I went through this mental trial, mental and physical trial all day, and I won. It's just winning day over day, right? Stacking up the wins. Just something about that, you know, I just miss that. I say that now, but next year when I'm deep in that spot again, I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm dying. I just want it to end, you know. But really, you don't want it to end. You just don't want to feel the way you're feeling. You feel like death. But feeling like death is for a cause and a goal. And that's something to be appreciated, you know. But let's hit this next set, boys. Yeah, it felt really good stepping on stage. I'm happy we kind of went through it. And it was like talking to my coach. It's one of those things where I was like, this is the best I've looked. And I enjoyed it. It's been a long time coming. And I think just going through that prep solidified everything in my mind. You know, everything I've sacrificed, everything I've put on hold, everything I've jeopardized for that prep. When I was on that stage, I was like, it's worth it. It was all worth it. All the sacrifices, everything was all worth it. For that 1 minute, you know, that 1 minute you're doing your comparisons. And then that 1 minute you do with your routine. And then if you win your class, that 1 minute you get for the comparisons for the overall winner. It was worth it. It was so 3 minutes in total, I guess. Those 3 minutes kind of verified in my mind that every sacrifice I made was worth it. The suffering was worth it. It's an experience. It's an experience. And it's something I recommend everybody should experience. Taking yourself to that extreme physically and mentally. I feel like everybody should go there at least once in their life, just to kind of, it just makes life not seem so hard. Life is a very hard thing. And going through a bodybuilding prep kind of makes you appreciate life, and then maybe not take things so serious, just kind of take it day by day, slows time down, really forces you to just enjoy the day. Like prep helped me feel and smell the rain. And I'll explain what I mean after this set, boys. All right, I'm gonna go set up the tricep work, boys. We're done with biceps for now, so I'll see you over there on triceps and explain what I mean by feel and smell the rain. All right, boys, we got a little bit of push downs here, but what I mean by kind of smelling and feeling the rain, bodybuilding prep really just kind of forced me to like slow life down, right? Slow down life, take it day by day, and enjoy the little things that come with it, right? Enjoy the process of life. It's one of those things where it's like when you're just mentally and physically going through it every day, the days feel like they're dragging. But when the days feel like they're dragging, it kind of slows everything else down to where you just start to appreciate the little things. Start to appreciate the people you have in your life. Let them know, hey, I appreciate you. Or you appreciate the little things, like the rain. So that's kind of what I mean, by what I mean by smelling and feeling the rain. Bodybuilding prep, when you're really in the trenches or just going through it in general, really just kind of forces you to slow life down. And I find that nowadays, like with social media and everything, it's kind of like, oh, I gotta get here. I have to be at this place or achieve this in my life by X amount of time, right? I need to make sure I have it now. To where prep kind of was just like, you don't have to have everything now. Slowly work towards it and you'll get there. And that's kind of what prep's all about. It's slowly working towards that goal, taking it day by day to get to that end goal. And that's kind of been nice. Bodybuilding and this prep just kind of forced me to stray away from trying to keep up with the Joneses. That old saying, keeping up with the Joneses, is like, I'm not worried about what everybody else is doing in their life right now. I'm not worried about where everybody else or how they've developed their career path or how they're doing in their career. Oh, this person has a house, so I have to have a house. Or this person's married, so I need to be married. Or should I be having kids by now? What am I doing? It's kind of like, okay, I'm at where I'm at in life. And you know what? I'll achieve my goals. I'll achieve my ambitions. I just need to take it day by day, take the little steps that I need to take to get there and end up achieving that goal, right? I don't need it tomorrow. If I have it in a year, if I have it in 2 years, if I have it in 3 years, I will eventually get there. I know myself. I know my ambitions. I know my work ethic. And no matter the scenario, whether, a bump in the road pops up or not, I will get there. I don't need to rush it. That's kind of been nice. That's been one of the many things I took away from prep, is not really just basing my life success or basing how my life should go on how everybody else's life's going, or where everybody else is in their life. At the end of the day, it's my life. I'll get where I want to get when I get there. But for right now, I'm going to do what makes me happy. I'm going to do the things that bring me peace, bring me joy, and we're going to rock. So, honestly, going through that mental adversity, going through that mental trying time, just helps you find a different appreciation for life. So where how I look at it, I'm like, yeah, am I exactly where I would like to be right now? No, not necessarily, but I'll get there. I'll get there. And there's no reason why I should kind of run myself thin or burn the candle at every angle to get there. Why I should take less just to, oh, because it looks better, because Tommy down the block, oh, not gonna judge me now because I'm doing X. Nah, I'm doing me, I'm living my life, and I'll achieve what I want to achieve when I achieve it. There's no point in rushing it, you know? And you might not, it might take you longer trying to get there if you just rush it. Or you just might be miserable the whole journey. I'm just trying to enjoy the process. Enjoy the process of life like you enjoy the process of prep. It comes with adversity, trying times, but appreciate those trying times because they will make you a better version of yourself. You will come out, as long as you stay locked in, as long as you stay driven and dedicated to the grind, you will overcome those adversities and be a better person after you overcome it. So it's kind of one of the things I've gotten out of this prep is just like, you know what? Let's just enjoy life. You only get one of them. So enjoy the process. I don't need to be where I want to be tomorrow. If I'm there in 3 years, if I'm there in 4 years, if I'm there in 5 years, awesome. But I know my work ethic. I know the type of individual I am. I know my drive and how I can stay driven. And I know I'll get there. So, been doing a lot of yapping. Next set, boys. There's just something nice that comes with taking your body and mind to an extreme like that. You find a different level of appreciation for life. Just because you feel like death every single day, in and out, right? Mentally, you want to give up. Physically, you want to give up. There was days where I was like, I don't even know how I'm doing this. Where my mind was just like, dude, what are we doing? Why are we doing this to ourselves? And I remember, hey, it's because this is what we love. It's because the longer we go through this, the more opportunities we get to overcome this. So it's kind of one of the things where I was like, all right, you know what? We're going to take it. Take it day by day. Take this ass whooping by my mental demons on the daily. And you know what? I'm still going to keep getting up. Still going to keep coming back. And you know what? It led me to taking overall. So not an overall, it led me to taking a class. You know, I won my class for open heavyweight bodybuilding. And I felt really good. So now we're qualified. So yeah. It's one of the many things that you get from prep is just, it's like prep just gives you, in my experience, I don't know about everybody else's, but it gives me a deeper appreciation for life, a deeper confidence just within myself, a level of comfortability that I don't have before prep that now I have after with just myself. It's where I'm like, I'll just do things alone. I'm cool with just being alone. Because in prep, you're pretty much alone the whole time. You know, even if you have a significant other, like I said, you're doing the cardio, you're training, you're going through the adversity physically and mentally alone. You might have a person that's there for you. You might have a good support system, but that support system isn't feeling how you are feeling internally. So kind of gives you a different level of comfortability with yourself. And that kind of correlates and kind of works with the confidence. So it kind of makes you feel a little bit more comfortable in your own skin. Kind of, you're not willing to accept less anymore from yourself. You've achieved this goal. You've done this extremely difficult task. Now it's kind of like, okay, you know, I'm not gonna be satisfied with less from myself anymore. You know, I'm gonna ask for more because I know I can get it done. We got one more set there, boys. And this will probably be a longer video. But like I said, I haven't filmed content for almost 2 months. A lot of yapping, a lot of catching up, a a lot of thoughts I just wanted to drop, just put out there, And it's been nice. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed prep a lot, and I miss it. I miss it. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. The best way to explain it, just kind of think about it. The best way to explain it is like how you would miss an ex that you spent a long time with, right? It's where you're just like, that significant other was a demon. That person wasn't obviously great. But then you think about it and you're like, you know, I kind of miss the trying times. You miss the opportunity to argue about stupid shit, which within a prep sense, you miss like just being that it's like a different level of hunger, but the satisfaction that comes with that hunger, you're like, oh yeah, it sucks. I want it to be over now. I could do without this. But it's like, yeah, I did that. I drove past that McDonald's. I drove past that Pizza Hut. I said no to that Taco Bell. My friends are going out this weekend and I'm going to go to the gym. There's almost a certain level of appreciation you get for yourself after saying no to those things, right? You're like, you know what? I am stronger mentally than I thought I was. And you're like, okay. So now you kind of start expecting more from yourself moving forward. You're like, okay, we made it through that. We did that. So maybe we can push in other aspects of our life, Maybe there are things that we think we can't do that we actually can if we just kind of locked in and stuck to it. So yeah, I mean, I miss it. I do miss prep. Do I miss feeling like death? No. But I miss the subtle satisfaction and gratitude you get from overcoming those daily adversities. If that makes sense. It's missing that toxic relationship. You do get a toxic relationship just with yourself. Because you're like, if you're a professional big back like I am, you're like, bro, I just want food. I'm thinking about food. My sleep paralysis demon is now a Big Mac and a family-sized package of Oreos. My nightmares has now turned into me eating an extra 50 grams of carbohydrates, waking up in a cold sweat, hitting the scale. You're like, fuck, I gotta hop on the scale. Okay, we're green. Those 50 grams of carbs were just a nightmare. It does get a little toxic mentally, but there's a lot of good things that come from that toxicity. So if you look at it that way, you could just look at it, and there are probably people out there that are like, they went through that and they were like, that was the worst time in my life. I would never do this again. And it's usually, might not be for some people, It's not for everybody, but if you can look at it and see the benefit that comes from it, then you realize you're just going to come out better every time. I want to say we got one more there, boys. We're going to do one more either way. After that, we'll do reverse and then ropes, and that'll be a wrap. But it does get a little toxic in there. And I think prep isn't something it's like I said, it's not for everybody. If you're not mentally headstrong, it could break you, right? You're either going to come out of prep with a better appreciation for yourself, a deeper love for life, a deeper love for yourself, because you've made it through this hard, trying time, or you're going to come out of prep mentally broken. Kind of just what type of individual you are, how mentally strong you are. You're either going to come out and be like, dude, I feel so much better. I feel so much more confident. I love life exponentially more. You know, this has just been so much more beneficial for my overall life. Now, maybe you don't have the great relationship with food after, but for the most part, it'll lead to long-term gains for your mental, right? Or it just breaks you and turns you into a mental potato, which also happens, you know, and that's not fun. But really, just kind of depends what type of person you are. You know, are you a mentally strong person, or are you kind of like not necessarily the strongest mentally? You'll kind of find out in prep because that shit will destroy you. Prep will break you down, and it happens. One of the beautiful things about it. Oh, okay. We got some reverse now. Oh, some reverse, boys. A little fluffy right now. Like I said, my body's been storing everything, but we got about another week or two. Then my hormones will balance back out. I can already tell they're kind of starting to balance back out because I'm starting to lean back out the way I should be. So I think for the next 2 weeks, we'll stay at 2,000 calories, keep the 45 minutes of cardio in, and then as we lean out more and more, my body becomes more accustomed to calories, stops storing everything, and starts utilizing it properly. Then I'll be able to up it a little bit more. Because I know my maintenance calories, for me to stay around 225, is about 32 to 3,400, right? And if I eat clean with one free meal or one cheat day a week, I can stay about 225, and it'll be a lean 225, which is good. So I think the next 2 weeks, I'll be about 2,000 calories, 45 minutes of cardio. By then, my body should obviously kind of be leaning back out a little bit more. The weight will drop a little bit more and more and more and more and more. So right now, I'm sitting at about 226, but that's because my hormones are tanked. As those level back out, I'll slowly start to come back down in weight. My body will become reaccustomed to carbohydrates and taking a little bit more food, use that food a little bit more optimal. And then the weight will, okay, now I'm leaning more towards like 215, 216, 217. Now I'll be like, okay, we can bump it up. So after about 2 weeks, I think we'll bump it up to about 2,400 calories, drop the cardio down to about 30 minutes. That should kind of have us at a morning weight of about 222, 223, and then bump it up a little bit more if my body stays around that 222, 223. But if it gets a little bit heavier, then we'll just stay at 2,400 calories until my body becomes accustomed to that. Once it becomes accustomed to that, then we'll slowly increase it. I don't want to go too much above maintenance. I think it would be maybe a 200 to 300 calorie surplus above maintenance. So I think by the end of prep, we should be starting, not the end of prep, the end of the off season, we should be starting prep at about in between 3,000 to 3,500 calories, which will set us up at a good spot so I don't have to be in the trenches calorie-wise and then cardio-wise. And that's why I'm keeping it in year-round. I'm going to try to keep stairs in year-round just so my body's just accustomed to stairs. I just sweat so much more on stairs. Honestly, I've started to prefer it. My preference for cardio now is stairs. And that's just because I sweat the most. I feel like my body kind of just works the best with it. I feel like my body just kind of stairs, like in my mind, is just like cardio. It's not cardio if it's not stairs anymore. Like walking an incline, biking, that's not really cardio. That's just funsies. To where stairs is like, okay, that's where the cardio is at a steady pace. Keep the heart rate in between 225 and 235, maybe 240. Keeping in that good pace range. And that's usually kind of optimal. Where I get the best sweat, where I feel like I'm burning the most amount of calories. So I think that'll be a good spot just for the off season. And then I can kind of really focus on squeezing those glutes. Make sure we're getting a nice tight squeeze each step so our cheeks come in that much more grainier for the next prep. So, yeah. But it's been kind of nice. I got sauces again. I've thrown sauces back in my diet. Some more back to the G Hughes. That's been beautiful. It's not just mustard salads anymore. Yeah, the sauces have been nice. You know, a little bit of G Hughes sweet and sour, a little bit of G Hughes barbecue sauce. G Hughes has been carrying. I still keep mustard in there because I'm like, I think that's something that'll kind of follow me out of prep is mustard. And then I know I said it was kind of straying away from the tilapia post prep, but I'm keeping it in, boys. I've kept tilapia in. I found I just kind of enjoy it now. And once I'm not financially poor, I wouldn't say I'm poor, but once I have a little bit more disposable income, then I want to switch tilapia to cod because cod is a little bit more macro friendly, but it's more expensive per pound, right? Tilapia you can usually get like 2 pounds for like $10 at my local Myers. It's like 2 pounds for $20 for frozen cod at my local Myers. So I'm like, oh, I could get double the tilapia for 1 pack of cod. Nah. But once I'm like, all right, I just got some cheese to throw, then we'll switch to cod. But for right now, it's tilapia. And tilapia's been hitting, you know, a little bit of G Hughes sweet and sour. Game changer. Or you get, if you have your tilapia with some white rice, throw a little bit of soy sauce on it. That's been perfect, boys. That's kind of been my hyper fixation right now, post prep, has been throwing soy sauce on like whenever I'm eating white rice. It's like white rice and chicken or white rice tilapia or even white rice. Crazy combo. White rice with lean beef. A little bit of soy sauce on that boy. Hey, it's a banger. It's a banger. You want to get a little crazy? Get a little extra crazy with it. Throw some sweet and sour with the lean beef. A little bit of soy sauce, not too much. It's a banger, boys. You want to get real crazy with it. If your macros afford it, 1 tablespoon or teaspoon, whatever's half a serving of peanut butter in there. Mix it up while it's still hot so it gets a nice little good texture. Do that with the chicken. I mean, if you want to get super crazy, throw it in with the lean beef. That's been a banger. That's been a banger. I might be a little psychopathic. That might just be post-prep cravings hitting. But I'm telling you, boys, it's a game changer. All right, we got one more there, boys. But now that we are out of prep, I want to do an out of prep grocery haul. I did a prep grocery haul. Right now, we're still kind of eating the same things I was eating prep. Nothing's really switched up other than I've thrown back lean beef into the mix, swapped that out from the ground turkey, right? I was rocking ground turkey for a little bit, switched back to lean beef. That's been a banger. That's been a banger. And I threw little potatoes back in, little potatoes with ground beef, a little bit of ketchup and mustard. That's a banger. It's a banger. But let's hit this next set, boys. All right, I'm gonna go grab the rope. I'm gonna do a little bit of push downs, boys. A little bit of rope extensions. That should be it for today's arm day. Good first day back. Like I said, haven't made content in almost 2 months. Did a lot of yapping. But moving forward won't be as much yapping. Just a regular scheduled program. back on track for you boys. But I'll be right back. All right, boys, we got these extensions. Let's get after this work. But yeah, boys, that's been kind of a win. I got a lot of things I kind of want to do, especially with summer being here. I got a lot of extended cuts. What I think I'm going to do is, instead of what I was doing during prep would be like my morning lift and then my night lift for the extended cut, I think it'll be the normal content. And then when I do side quests, it'll be like lift will be one video, and then it'll be like lift and side quest combined, and that'll be another video that I drop in the same day. So the extended cuts will just be like my side quests. And that'll be like when I'm working on my car with my boy, I'll throw that up. It'll be like side quests working on the project car, which my project car is my nice little Scion. So you boys will kind of see me get to build that up. I almost have all the parts. We almost acquired all the parts to build her out. So my boy's got a pole barn. I want to kind of document some of that as I break that down, rebuild her back up, and then we want to rewrap her. So kind of film that, let you boys see that. And then say I go to like a carnival or I go to the Ren Fair, do that every year. So like Ren Fair activities, Cedar Point, just side quests. When I go to the Stain concert with my boy, want to kind of film that, give you guys the content off that. So just whenever I do side quest activities, you're like lift and side quests. Give you boys some of those off-season things. Because I know some of you boys like to think all I do is work and lift. And for the most part, you would be right. But I do other things. It's usually either A, car activities, or B, nerdy things. Either car activities or nerdy things. So those things I kind of want to be able to film and give it to you boys as well. Kind of see the side activities, side quests that I do. And there'll be other things that go on, like I said, the Ren Fair, Cedar Point, when I go see Stain. There's a couple other things I do, but for the most part, it's just nerdy things and car stuff. I can't wait to build out the car, though. That's been kind of another thing that Prep's like helped me appreciate is like, all right, I kind of was like, I want everything, all my car stuff now. I want to get all my car stuff together so I can build her out and have her ready by the end of the summer. But now I'm like, wait a second. Let's do it right. Maybe we get a new set of rims. Drop $1,000 on a new set of rims. Get some new rims in there. Get a nice new bumper on there. We got the headlights. Realistically, all I need right now is a new door, a bumper, and I want to get new rims. So realistically, I just need two things. Door and a bumper. But I would like to get new rims. And then we're going to rewrap her. I've been kind of rocking with the blue. I haven't showed you guys her. So as we're building her out, you'll see. But I want to rewrap her. I think we're going to rewrap her like a matte black. That would be sweet. Get some different rims. Yeah, I'm excited. So the goal was to have her kind of finished so I could drive her around this summer. But I think kind of prolong that process a little bit, work on her through the winter, make sure she's ready by next summer. If she's ready by next summer, then we'll be super green. She'll look beautiful, and it'll be that much more enjoyable, So, yeah. I know you boys probably didn't know because I don't talk about it, but I'm trying to become a car guy. I got a nice little project car, but my boy's into cars, trying to get him to educate me. Trying to get him to get me hip to cars, And it's always like rough because I'll say stupid things every once in a while. I'll be like, I kind of know cars a little bit. And I'll say something and then he'll look at me like, what the fuck? And I'll be like, oh no, oh no, I just sounded so dumb. He's like, yeah, brother, that's not what that is. I'm like, oh, let me just shut up right now. But I'm getting there, slowly but surely, you know. But I'm enjoying learning about it, you know. And that's one of the things I've kind of looking forward to doing is like tearing my baby apart, tearing my car apart, and then rebuilding her so I can learn cars that much more. Like I got new headlights for her, so we got to put the new headlights in. Once we put the new headlights in, we got to splice the wires. Once we splice the wires, should be green, and then we got to put a new bumper on, fog lights, put those on, probably splice those wires, pick the wires underneath the car a little bit more. Once that's all green, put the rims on, put the new door in, kind of get a couple bolts, take the new door off. The thing is with the door, I don't know how to do it, but my boy knows how to do it, luckily. We're going to have to take my mirror and put it into the new door because my mirror it has tint. And I was like, I'd rather not just pay for more tint. I just put the mirror in that new door and we'll be green. So he's going to help me do that. We'll put that on there. Once we put that on there, my boy knows how to wrap. So I want him to teach me how to wrap. So we'll be able to wrap the whole car. I want to film the whole process so you boys can see it, but I'm excited to do it. You know, I think it'll be really fun. I'm really excited to do that. So yeah, trying to become a car guy. Trying to become a car guy, slowly but surely. But let me tell you, boys, I look super goofy in my car now. Like my project car, I look super goofy driving that thing because I'm a bigger dude. And over the years since I've got her, like when I got my car was back in like 2021 after my first show. I was not nearly as big as I am now. To where now I just look like a goofy clown getting out of my car because I drove her. I drove her over to my boy's house. We have her parked on like in the back of his pool barn. So when we strip her down, we'll be able to kind of build her up in his pool barn. But I was driving her and he walked up, he was like, bro, you look too big to be in this fucking car right now. Cause it's so small. It's a small compacted race car. And I'm just a big guy. So like I rolled down the window, he's like, bro, you look goofy. I'm like, I know I look goofy. And I have racing seats. So my racing seats, usually the average human being, the racing seats would hug the normal human being, right? It's nice. You sit in the seat, the sides hug you, and you're green. You're just in there chilling, and it's a vibe. No, I've gotten wider, so now where the parts that would hug me are just jabbing me straight in my back. It's like two little angles right on the sides of my lats now. So where I just sit wide and it just stabs my back. So I kind of have to sit like this when I'm driving and just all compacted because if I sit comfortably, it's just stabbing me in the spine. Well, not spine, but in the lats. And I'm like, oh God, I didn't think about this when I was buying the car. So that might be a long-term project is putting new seats in her. Ones that widen out a little bit more. So the boy can just sit in there comfortably. But yeah, it's kind of how the summer's gonna look, kind of how the content's gonna look moving forward. We're gonna do the last set, but I think we kind of touched on everything I want to touch on, boys. I missed dropping content. We're back to dropping content on the regular scheduled program. There we go. Back to dropping content, back to being after it, back to being hungry, not only on the grind, but grinding content-wise as well. Kind of vlogging the whole process, especially since the road to pro starts now. And next year, obviously, we're going for the pro card. So I want to vlog that whole process leading into that. So yeah, so let's hit this next set, and then I'll catch you boys in the car. All right, I'm gonna finish up my cardio, do my last 15 minutes. I did it half an hour before we started training arms. I'll do my last 15 minutes and then catch you boys in the car.
All right, boys, that's another one in the books. I feel like it was overall a good lift. I feel like we kind of touched on everything I wanted to touch on. Kind of just, I don't know, kind of gave you guys what the past 2 months have looked like, how prep went, and then obviously the things are going to go moving forward when it's coming to content, when it's coming to obviously competing again, and what it should look like for the next year. So with that being said, Road to Pro starts now in the postseason, and we're locking it in, making sure everything kind of set up in the best spot for us to be able to go pro next year, or at least have a good chance at going pro. So that being said, I'll catch you boys in the next video.